Good evening, everybody. This is Oceanus. I am back from a couple weeks of packing my stuff and moving somewhere else. And a lot of stuff has happened in the past few weeks, actually, but I am going to restart my video making with a story that came out in August that I had covered at the time and was entirely vindicated for. So if you don't remember back, and here's what I'm gonna read what I wrote. This is my Substack account, which by the way, go check it out. This is from August 27th, and the post was Scottish girl knife and hatchet because there was an incident that happened in Scotland. That I'm going to read what I wrote here, and I'm going to read the news article that just came out a couple days ago. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The United Kingdom is screwed. Yeah, they had a new hope during Brexit, but it turns out all Brexit has done is allowed the UK to become their own little island of rogue occupation government. Entirely true. Still true. In the UK, you can be charged for your social media posts, or just today actually, they're making it so that people under 16 cannot access social media, which is a double-edged sword. And the reasons for it is not to protect children's mental health, but to not let them see what's actually going on in their country. But anyway, that's a whole new video. You cannot own firearms. You cannot question the status of the immigration system, completely replacing indigenous British people. You cannot defend yourself against migrant rape gangs without getting arrested. And the worst part about all this is that no matter who you vote for, the result is the same. The Labour and Conservative parties are a giant uniparty, much worse, even worse than our so-called American Democrats and Republicans. And this is true. If you had not noticed, the Conservatives had ruled Britain since the early 2010s, and everything just kept getting worse. All this didn't start with Keir Starmer. This started with David Cameron and was allowed to go on for years and years and years, or at least not reversed. I wasn't really going to write about the UK since everyone knows now the absolute absurdity of their system of government. Still true, however, there has been one event in particular which has tipped me over the edge. If you haven't already heard, on Saturday, a Scottish girl, this is back in August, mind you, a Scottish girl was in a video, and in the video, she was seen brandishing a hatchet and knife. Weird, right? Why would that young girl would be outside brandishing two very lethal weapons? As it turns out, she was protecting herself and her sister from the person filming. We don't know what happened before the attacker started filming, but it raises a couple of questions. Why is a grown man filming underage girls in the first place? Why is a grown man approaching said underage girls and continues to approach even after the girl wielding the weapons tells him to stay away? The man behind the camera clearly doesn't sound like he's from Scotland or the United Kingdom at all. This would explain why the girl was holding the weapons. We have heard many a story of young girls being raped by foreign men over there. Still true. It's true in August. It's true now. I wish I could get greater context on what went on there, but no media outlet that covered the story has done a good job of explaining anything at all other than the girl was arrested and charged for having weapons. And I'm not going to click this link because it's something that will probably be covered in the other news story that I'm about to get to after we get to mine. Sorry that I'm doing this a little bit of self-advertisement here, but the context is important. Heck, even if the man was completely innocent of anything, which I doubt, and this was just some crazy child having a meltdown in the middle of the street, which I doubt, we wouldn't know because of how horrible British media is at covering anything to do with foreigners and criminal activity. And that still doesn't change the fact that he's a grown man interacting with and filming underage girls. Why was he doing that? Why was he interacting with them in the first place? She obviously felt threatened by him. Despite all of that, she didn't take a swing at the guy either. She was clearly telling him to get away. She didn't attack. Her stance was purely defensive. Given that she wasn't raped or whatever she was afraid of being, her action of deterrence evidently worked. Unfortunately for her, she's now been charged with possession of a knife. The guy who was filming, we can assume that he hasn't been punished despite continuing to move upon underage girls telling him to get away. Thankfully, this has been rectified, and I'll get to that in a minute. This entire story raises a bigger question. Why has it gotten to this point where young girls in the UK are starting to carry bladed weapons while walking on the street? Could it have been something to do with the foreign rapists who are being protected by the traitorous British government? Is it worse than what we are being seen from an outside perspective? And let me be clear, I'm in America right now. I am from America. I am not in the UK. It's probably a lot worse than what we're seeing out here. One thing is clear, this cannot continue. We should not have girls going out armed with knives and hatchets because they are in fear of being sexually assaulted by migrants. I support a full and complete deportation effort from the British Isles, and I still do. Things like this don't happen back then. Didn't happen back then because the United Kingdom, as well as most other Western countries, used to be high trust societies. The problem came when everyone started bringing in people from low trust societies. Still true. I also don't believe the smears against this girl, saying that she is some sort of low class kid gangster who goes around with knives and hatchets threatening people. Yeah, no, if that were the case, she would have swung. The guy filming would have been injured. And this is another thing. There were a lot of people who were supposedly smart people in the media and whatnot who were like, "Oh yeah, this was just the Scotland has this epidemic of girl gangs going around threatening people," and I was like, "No, that doesn't happen." Because if it did happen, you'd have a lot of them here in the U.S. too, but that doesn't happen. And we're from a society which encourages gun ownership, encourages people to defend themselves against attackers, and you don't see that happening here. So no, that was BS. That entire narrative was BS, and we'll get to it in a minute too. Okay, hopefully more facts come out, and this is the video, by the way. I linked it in my piece, and let's play the video, shall we?
You don't dare!
Yeah, nice.
You don't dare fucking drop it! You're fucking bad and
Why you fucking with us?
These are fucking kid bashers!
Show the knife. Show the knife.
Get
Show
the
the knife.
fuck away from her!
Show the knife. Show the knife.
Don't touch her!
That's
Touch me,
it. That's
do whatever
it.
you
Show
want
the
to me.
knife.
Don't touch my little sister!
Show the knife. That's it.
Don't fucking touch my little sister! She ain't fucking 12! Wait until I fucking catch you, mate. She is fucking 12 and you just battered me, mate! Wait until I fucking catch you, mate!
Yeah. Show the knife. Maracha.
Don't touch her, doing to me! Don't touch her!
Again, really weird to me that the same people who are like believe women and girls, oh, Epstein class, are the same exact people who were basically slandering this young girl here as well as her sister and saying that they were part of a teenage young child gang. It's weird that their immediate instinct was to defend the guy filming. And now let me be clear. As with everything, it has to be you have to have all the facts. But at the same time, like I mean, we have to have all the facts. You can't be accusing like any one of these people could have been in the wrong. But at the same time, I didn't buy it because of the patterns that we have been seeing in the UK as of late. So even if even the guy filming did entirely nothing wrong, I hesitate to say that is the case because of everything that's been going on. But anyway, that was the video. And that was the narrative surrounding this whole thing. Oh, they were just girls in a gang. Scottish girls going back to their Celtic tribal roots. Wielding hatchets and freaking machetes. About to just go to town on all these men in this city here. And that was the narrative that the mainstream media and the supposedly educated people ran with. The supposedly believe all women, believe girls ran with. And as we're about to read right now, this is them. This is the guy that was recording. This is the person who's with him. Brother and sister guilty of attacking girls in Dundee. Imagine that. I was correct. Let's read, shall we? A man has been found guilty of making sexual remarks to a group of girls aged around 12 and 14 in Dundee before grabbing and pushing one of them to the ground. Elia Belov, 22, claimed that he doesn't look 22, but okay. Claimed that he confronted the girls after receiving abusive remarks and said he saw one of the girls with a knife in her waistband before the assault, essentially the video I just showed you. What abusive remarks could you have possibly been taken by like two to 12 and 14-year-old girl? You're an adult dude. His sister, Nadjidja Belova, 20, previously admitted assaulting a 13-year-old girl by seizing and pulling her hair, dragging her to the ground, and striking her on the head to her injury during the accident. The pair will be sentenced at Dundee Sheriff Court on 5th of August. The court heard that Belov had said, "Hello, sexy, I'll show you a good time," to the girls who were walking past them in the Lochi area of the city. Interesting. After one of the girls called him a creep, he had returned to confront the group and called his sister. Okay, so this was the abuse here? That they called you a creep after you were saying hello sexy to 12 and 14-year-old girls? Like, when I'm thinking of verbal abuse, I'm thinking of much worse verbal assaults than that. But if you are saying that to 12 and 14-year-old girls, that's not verbal abuse, that's the truth. So he calls his sister, who's this person right here, to, I guess, arrive as backup, who arrived shortly afterwards and assaulted one of the girls. What a reaction. "I'm not a creep, I'm gonna call my sister and have her assault you guys." Belov claimed that he had seen the girl's weapon and, fearing for his sister, had pushed her. Okay, so you're fearing for your life after having your sister assault the girl that you were sexually advancing towards? He claimed the children had called him a migrant and used an expletive. Okay, so did they call you a migrant and use an expletive, or did they call you a creep? Because by this sound, it sounds like they called you the creep first, and then you confronted them. So which is it? And even if they did call you a migrant and use an expletive, they're still 12 and 14-year-old girls. This is not the right reaction. You don't call someone to, like, come freaking assault them. But Sheriff Tim Niven Smith rejected Belov's claim of self-defense and said the girl's evidence had been eloquent. "Thank you, Sheriff." He said, "I am entirely satisfied by proof beyond reasonable doubt that the trigger for all of this were the comments that you made." Exactly. The court had heard previously that the 12-year-old Belov girl attacked admitted pulling a knife from her waistband, but only after Belov had assaulted her. Amazing. This is good. I'm glad she did this. This is exactly what you're supposed to do when you come under such issues. The girl told the trial previously that her sister started to shout at Belov after the remarks, but the pair pulled away by a friend, which is what you were seeing in the video that we just watched. She then told the court Belova had approached the group, pushed her, and threw her sister to the ground. The girl said she tried to go for the woman, but was pushed by Belov. She said he pushed her on the head, and her head hit the handrail of a ramp. Amazing. So after calling his sister to be the big man in the situation, and after that failed, then he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna I too am gonna assault this 12 and 14-year-old girl." Dang, these girls must have been like freaking John Wick or something, because cross-examined by Belov's solicitor, Larry Flynn, the girl said that she had then taken the axe and knife from her waistband, and that Belov filmed her with them on his phone, which is what we just watched. Belov told the trial that he had been walking to a shop with his father for cigarettes when he saw a group of young girls. He claimed that they started to make cheeky remarks, and one called him an expletive migrant. Asked by Flynn if he said hello sexy to the girls or "I'll show you a good time," he replied, "No, I swear on my God." Belov claimed that after walking away, he was still being disrespected, so he turned around and went back to the group. He said at that point the girls started panicking and said he was following them, "Because you were following them, mate." Belov said that he then thrown his sister's group had greater numbers and he was worried about myself. Okay, but do you see the problem here? Is that you could have just walked away. Even if what he said was true here, these are still young girls, 12, 14. And you're telling me that in my mind, if I'm being like, if like a freaking 12 to 14-year-old girl was like yelling stupid stuff at me, I walk away, because ultimately they have no power over me, and they're just being stupid. If this is what happened, which I'm inclined not to believe, but if what he is saying is entirely true, it still wouldn't justify him calling his sister, having her assault the girls, and then him assaulting one of the girls himself. So even if what he said was true, he's still committing a crime here. And where's his father in all this? He says he's with his father. Where was he? Anyway. Bella said his sister then arrived and grabbed one of the girls by the hair and pushed her. Again, you don't do this if you're an adult. Asked when he saw the other girl holding the weapon, he said after I pushed her. He said that he had previously seen a knife sticking out of her t-shirt, so then why did you even bother going to approach her then? Asked why he pushed the girl, he said I thought she was going to do something, but she didn't. After the girl fell to the ground and got up, Belev said that she had pulled a knife and axe and tried to get to us. Yeah, I'll bet she did, because you pushed her to the ground. Notice how she didn't do this before you assaulted her. She was entirely correct here. Belev said he filmed the girl as she held the weapons, which the court heard were recovered from a nearby roundabout. Heartbreaking CCTV footage. Prosecutor Michael Robertson asked Belov, "You were the adult in the situation. You could have just walked away." Going, exactly. This is look the freaking the one common sense prosecutor in the United Kingdom. Thank goodness. Exactly. That's the argument here. You could have walked away, and he replied, "You're right. I need to know why they are disrespecting me for no reason." No. What do you mean you were right? Okay, you were right, but they're freaking girls, mate. Robertson said, "You phoned your sister, not the police." Exactly. Why didn't you phone the police? You know, the UK is very stupid when it comes to handling crime. I'm sure you could have gotten a policeman to listen to your side of the story, but you didn't. Belev said, "I thought we were in danger." So again, you phoned your sister, not the police? So the police couldn't do anything about the danger, but your sister could. Okay. Robertson put it to Belov that he had not previously seen a knife when he pushed the girl and only saw the weapon after she got back up. He replied, "I'm pretty sure I saw the knife behind her back. And even if you did, so what? And if you did, why did you bother?" Speaking after the conviction, a girl's mother told BBC Scotland News the guilty verdict was a good thing. "Yes, it is." She said, "They were telling the truth and they were slandered. There were too many lies to start, so I'm glad it's all come out." The woman said that it was heartbreaking seeing her daughter getting dragged about on the CCTV shown in court. I'm sure it is, and I'm sure it's very heartbreaking that a whole bunch of people, from academia to the news to everywhere else, was like, "Oh, it's just, Scotland has a teenage white girl gang problem." But anyway, yeah, so that was that. That was that. So everybody who had told me, "Oh, yeah, it's Scotland. They got white girls in gangs just going around whacking people, and that I shouldn't cover this story in a favorable to the girls at the time." Yeah, what now? Are you telling me that I am completely vindicated now? Yet I still had people counter signaling me about this. Like, yeah, don't bother reading the patterns. Like, don't bother looking at the patterns. Like don't bother thinking that, okay, these girls were the actual issue here, and not the people that had followed them and assaulted them. Because, but by the way the story is told, she pushed first, and only then, afterwards, after the assault happened, did one of the girls pull out their weapons, and as you saw in the video, took an entirely defensive stance. By the way, they and was like, "Get away, leave, don't touch me." Completely reasonable, and nobody else was hurt. But yet, I had people for so long telling me, "Oh, Oceaners, this is just a problem in Scotland. You got these white girls, these little white girls in these gangs, like they're freaking gangsters, going around, Mad Maxing the place, with their machetes, with their hatchets and everything." And I'm like, nah. No, that doesn't happen because I've not heard of it. I have not heard of that happening, and it's happened nowhere else. If it did happen, it is an entirely localized thing. But given the state of Europe and the West right now, if that was the case, you'd think a whole lot more people would be doing this. But no, that isn't the case. These people lied. They listened. He got upset that words were said, and instead of walking away and being the adult in the situation, the 22-year-old adult, he's like, I'm gonna call my sister here instead of the police. If he really felt threatened, I'm gonna call my sister. And his sister pulls up and is like, stop slandering my brother, yo. Boom. Punches the girl. They then pull out the weapons, get defensive, tell them to go away. And I am super glad that the court is like, yeah, you're an idiot, dude. I'm glad that they're calling him out on this. Because this was an absolute cancerous. The discourse around this was so cancerous at the time. I was beginning to actually believe, you know what, maybe there are freaking white girl gangs in Scotland, because everybody was trying to convince me so hard that that was the case for some reason. Like it just absurd. And you know what? Never listening to these people again. I didn't listen to them anyways, but I'm still not going to listen to them because they lost all credibility with this entire scenario here. And it also sucks that it took us. That was in August. This the my post was in August. It sucks that it took us freaking almost a year to get an update on this case. So a year was going by almost that these two girls were slandered and was like, you guys are freaking gangsters in the freaking Scottish girl gang of whatever we call them, and they were just being slandered for all these months. Not anymore though. That is, did it, but then people got short attention spans, and maybe people just entirely forgot about this. But I didn't. Anyway, I'm gonna try and get back to my usual uploading schedule about once every couple days or so, at minimum once a week. If you like my content, please subscribe, comment. Even if you disagree with what I say, comment down below. I like reading the feedback, even if I disagree with you. And also, if you want to subscribe to my Substack, and if you really, really like what I write about or what I talk about, please consider sending a one-time donation to the Buy Me a Coffee page linked in the description and in my channel description. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good day.